Thank you very much, gentlemen. Game 1 of our series here between CLG and TSM going to the side of TSM. They're going to be very happy picking up that victory, as we mentioned, having lost that 5-game series in the finals.
But they haven't won yet because we're playing a best of 3.
Exactly. Whoa. We're gonna get at least one more game out of these two teams. Now, given that, I do want to dive into this one, kind of break it down a little bit, starting with champion select. I know Kobe leading in was talking about, I'm very excited to see what Bjergsen decides to bring out in the mid lane, given the fact that there were those mage changes and there's a lot of new options. And he opts into Zilean.
Yeah, and I think it ended up swinging the game that he did that, because when you looked at the way the draft played out with the Lucian going on one side, that's generally going to be a winning lane for CLG, and then Trundle versus Maokai in the top lane, it's really that matchup, Zilean versus Victor, and the fact that Bjergsen was able to push in Huhi so easily on that, I won't just say that, like, oh yeah, they had the counter pick. I'm just going to say they picked a champion that Bjergsen crushed on, and that gave them 2 winning lanes, which allowed them to take over the map.
Yeah, and I think this is something that TSM will run if they get that Lucian locked in the first round. They'll pick it later on because it really enables him. It's all about that movement speed and having that Lucian be incredibly slippery, because a lot of his kit with the 500 range is supposed to be diving in and out, and with that movement speed from all those sources, he's able to do that so easily.
Yeah, along with Youmuu's active and his own dashing abilities. You know, along with that, we saw some mainstays on the bans list in the Kindred, the Nidalee, the Ryze, and the Echo, the likes of that. But we see, of course, the Vladimir and the Zed come through. So again, focusing bans towards the mid lane, possibly into the top lane against Darshan with that Vladimir. But just beginning to watch this meta develop and see how the teams are kind of sussing out the power of different champions. That doesn't mean that we don't still have Battle of the Tanks in the top lane between Maokai and Trundle.
If I had to make a guess, I'd actually say the Vladimir ban was against Huhi. Huhi seems like the type of guy who picks up champions very quickly, and at least in the European LCS, Vladimir was either banned or picked mid lane fairly frequently, even though it wasn't seen very much over in Korea. So I think there was some scrim champions that just worked really well, and Vladimir was one of those. So I think it's going to be a relatively strong mid lane pick, and I'd expect TSM to actually keep that Vladimir ban on the other side to stop Huhi, since they're able to exploit him so easily on a meta champ like Victor.
Yeah, just random aside, Vladimir in the mid lane doesn't always have to run TP. He can run the new Ghost now, and that's incredibly potent as well, which is another plus to having him in the mid lane.
Absolutely. Moving ourselves ahead into the game, I want to hit a big point that I'm sure a lot of people are curious about. I want to get your thoughts on Biofrost in his LCS debut.
I love him, right? So I cast this guy in Challenger, and it seems like he's been groomed into a very aggressive style here. The thing with Doublelift is he loves to win the lane, and that's what kind of went back and forth with him and Yellowstar. Yellowstar wants to roam and win the game in other lanes. Biofrost picks Karma, and they're immediately shoving in. They're running to other sides of the map as a group. He's basically attaching himself to somebody as Karma and speeding them both up, getting them in there, making aggressive plays to root people. And Biofrost looks like he fits right in with the new bully mentality that TSM have. We're seeing Svenskeren bully. We're seeing every lane just take it to the enemy, and I think he's going to be a great fit if they keep that style.
Yeah, that was about the best debut game he could have had. We'll see how he plays in the rest of the series. They won lane against Aphromoo and Stixxay, who were bullying a lot of people at MSI, and that was with a Nami pick on the other side, so they obviously did have a bit of an advantage with Lucian. But time for the excuse train, choo-choo. CLG had less time to adapt to the patch than any other team in North America. And Kobe even mentioned in the pregame that it's going to take some time for CLG to reach back and be at the same level on this patch and other teams. We'll still see. Maybe they come back in the next game.
Right, yeah. We you know, just one game. We're not going to condemn them to anything just yet.
Outlandish claims off of one game.
But now I want to dive into a little bit about how TSM seemed to approach this game. Jack, you already hit on it with the Zilean. We saw a lot of pushing power in that mid lane, which opened up Svenskeren to make work happen around the map, both in invading as well as those early dives in the mid lane, picking up 2 kills on Huhi, both from him, and then with the bot lane roaming down and executing another turret dive as well.
Yeah, and the first blood, even though Svenskeren came in at the end, was really all about Bjergsen. He hits level 6 first, he puts the lane in the right position, and they then completely trap Huhi in his turret. The double bomb makes Huhi actually flash forward. He should have flashed backwards, actually, because then I think he might have had a chance of staying alive. And then this kill actually won multiple lanes for them, because previously they'd already had an advantage bottom lane, but the teleport hurts. And then Huhi already has without summoners, and Bjergsen again just easily shoves up, and they get yet another kill on him, as well as Biofrost's first kill officially in the LCS. So
There you have it.
Where are the MIA pings, bro? Everybody's here.
Wiser late.
But that's the thing I think TSM were going towards, right? Svenskeren gets to push up because Bjergsen pushed up. They actually adopted that in the playoffs, and that's what worked so well for them and got them to the finals. And Biofrost fits in with that. And this is something that they should just keep doing if they're able to do it. Just let Bjergsen play through that lane, show up at the weak point, because they're constantly testing. As soon as something shows that it's going to bend a little bit, they're just going to go back to that lane. And I think that's how they should play it throughout the series.
Well, the likes of Biofrost and Bjergsen on those supporty type champions in Karma and Zillion definitely allowed Doublelift to kind of run rampant through the rest of the game. That's going to bring us to our player of the game. Our first player of the game here in NA is Doublelift for executing on that Lucian with the rest of the team behind him.
Yeah, you look at his damage he did in that game, it's absolutely insane. Obviously, he was the enabled damage dealer for them. Playing with a rookie support against Aphromoo and Stixxay, who is a great dual lane, is very impressive. I think multiple people on TSM played great this game. To me, Bjergsen was very close to getting player of the game, but well-deserved for Doublelift here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then, real quickly, before we head to commercial, I want to get your thoughts on Game 2 of this series. Given the fact that CLG takes a little bit of a slap in the face here in Game 1, getting knocked down a peg, how do they bounce back? You know, who specifically, in terms of players, are we looking at on that roster to kind of step up in Game 2?
I really think that Stixxay needs to go back to his MSI form. I think that Aphromoo as well needs to go back there and actually play some bullies and actually get some roaming potential going, because they were stuck in lane. Everybody's showing up there, but who he just needs to play safe to.
CLG will get first pick. If TSM doesn't ban Lucian, they can give Stixxay to Lucian. That'll give him a bit of an edge. And who he just needs to play better. He can't get dominated like he did that last game.
All right, well, the teams will swap sides. We'll see what they bring out onto the table in Game 2. TSM winning there in a statement game. After the break, we'll see if CLG can make the right adjustments to pull it back and force a Game 3. There's more League coming right up. See you in a minute. Fight for Worlds is on, and the North American LCS Summer Split starts right now.
They're not going to go for it. Good flash from Huhi, though. Is Sven actually going to make his way in? Damage is down. Bjergsen pops the Ossi on himself. Takes out Maokai as Biofrost. Oh! Getting tagged up by the tidal wave. Gravity feels down, and Biofrost cannot run. Stunned just on the edge, and Huhi claims a kill. Stixxay now actually tethered up. Good flash from Biofrost. Gets very aggressive. And Doublelift moves in, and Bjergsen gets one. Oh! Doublelift goes in for the kill, and they're on the chase. Stixxay getting chunked. They'll be able to take him down. TSM will spend the first game of this best of 3.